Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia Gigachad. If you are a Gigachad just like me, you will press the like button. Press the like button, my friend. Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and I will be replacing Wyatt today. I am DPA Gigachad, and this is the summary for the day of 179, the 21st of August. So, looking very Gigachatty today. So let's start off with Zelensky. So Zelensky, according to AZ military, threatens to never negotiate with Russia should the trial of the Azov battalion militias or the right sector people or the Azov battalion people begins in the Donetsk People's Republic. So if the Russians does arrange a trial over the Azov rights, this will be the line after which any negotiations are impossible. Russia will cut itself off from negotiations and there will be no more conversations, Zelensky said. Impossible. So let's move on to the southern front. So we do not have any of the major artillery strikes or missile strikes that are significant enough for me to talk about. So moving on to the Mykolaiv Front. So at the Mykolaiv Front, there is a missile strike that I want to talk about, which is the Russia strikes the Varvarivskyy Bridge. So Varvarivskyy Bridge is this a major bridge that cuts Mykolaiv into half, and this bridge is the only linked for the eastern part of this region of Mykolaiv region to the western side region. There is no other bridges here. This is not a bridge. This is a glitch of the satellite images, and you can see this is the only bridge. The next bridge is far away, you know, all the way up here, and this is a railway bridge. This is not a car bridge, and you can move on further to some eternal place, and a billion years later you'll find a bridge, and I think you might start to feel a bit disturbing. So let me get back my normal face. I'm back. So yeah, I thought that would be a bit like immature, right? Like so childish. Come on, you are talking about serious thing. No, don't use the kind of like filter. So this bridge is being attacked for the past few days, according to Ryber. So the past few days, the Varvarivskyy Bridge across the southern Bug has been the target of attacks. However, if it's destroyed or disabled, Ryber will have probably told us that. The thing is, it's still not disabled yet. Bridges apparently is tremendously hard to destroy, as both the Russians and Ukrainians have discovered. So unless you are able to launch a direct airstrike over it, where you drop a million-pound bomb on it, the bridge is just going to survive. So unfortunately, it's not going to be so simple. So let me move the camera a bit. So I have, as mentioned in the last summary, I'm going to indicate the artillery strikes that are reported on the front lines. I'm not going to put in the artillery strikes over the cross-border shellings, because I already said it's pretty pointless to cover that. So I only put those that are along the front lines that is reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry, and to a much lesser extent the pro-Russian source Ryber, so that we can have a kind of sensing, where are the concentration of firepower by the Russians. Typically the Russians is the Ukrainian because the Ukrainians don't really do offensive. offensive is too offending to them, so they don't do offensive. So their artillery strikes are not very concentrated, and usually they do counter artillery fires to try to counter the Russian artillery. So their artillery strikes are not usually, it's just not reported unless it hit major cities in Donetsk or Luhansk. So so I'm not going to cover like every artillery strike, but it's just interesting to see. We have three reported strikes across the river in Mykolaiv region, which might indicate that there are some significant build-up of troops, or maybe it is artillery or surface-to-air missiles units or systems over there that actually cause some strikes required from the Russian side over there. So you can see that artillery strikes all over the place. There's two here, but the majority is in this direction, which might actually suggest that this is actually the focus of the Russian offensive in Mykolaiv region. And particularly, it's interesting that Verona Dolina and Polyana has been shelled, but not Shyroke and Lyubyne, which might suggest that Shyroke and Lyubyne might been captured by the Russian forces, might have been captured, because Shyroke has been attacked around a week ago. If you have followed me daily, you probably know, a week or a week plus ago, Shyroke was attacked by the Russian forces. So there might be a possibility where Shyroke is actually captured, which is why we are seeing artillery strikes further up here. I cannot confirm this yet, so we'll take a look. We'll wait a bit further and see, if the Ukrainians actually accidentally give us some information that can confirm this theory. However, we do have information from Ryber saying that the Russian airborne forces have captured the Blahodatne village west of Snihurivka. So Snihurivka is here, and this position was previously defended by the 63rd. This is, I think, mechanized, separate mechanized brigade, battalion. Should be brigade. BR should be brigade. So I try to learn what is this. So O is separate. I don't know what's the meaning of separate actually. Maybe it's independent, you see, or standalone. So mechanized, M is mechanized brigade, and of the Ukrainian armed forces. Then they have been attacked since the beginning of August, and it's very due to the complicated terrain. The attackers do not actually have much cover, so that's why they use a lot of artillery, which you actually saw in the DPA YouTube game, which I currently paused for some time because I'm so busy, and we'll get back to that. Kingdom of Popasna is very important. So, and then he hit the Ukrainian artillery. So after they captured, it's likely to develop an offensive towards this as highway. And then as we can see, the artillery strikes hits all this position. However, there is no artillery strike being caught on Blahodatne. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry, however, did not confirm how to put it. They only put partial success. You see, they say that the occupiers or the Russians carry out assault in the area of the settlement of Blahodatne with partial success. And for those that have been following me, you have known that partial success usually means a total success. So this is actually very bad news. If they say the fighting continues, it actually means partial success. So when they say partial success, it actually usually mean total success. So that seems to be the case now here, and we'll probably see fighting being reported at Partizanske next from the direction of Blahodatne, or they will say some other very far away places, so that to confuse the people who are reading the reports, because only by mapping the reports that you actually know what the hell is actually happening, because they like to put very weird those names that people don't really know. Like, for example, Vremivka. I can tell you most Ukrainians don't even know where is Vremivka, and they will say, attack towards Partizanske in the direction of Vremivka, and people are like, where the hell is all these places? And that's what the Ukrainian reports tend to do. And but when you start to map it into the maps, you start to see, you know, what are they talking about. And they you know, lately I've realized they tend to, you know, shuffle a bit the direction from the attacks come from. So to, you know, put those people who just read the textual report off. So but when you map it, it becomes pretty clear. So no, you are lucky, you know, you're actually listening to me talking here. Yeah. So so you can see the artillery strikes all over the place, which is also interestingly validates a bit of the Russian MoD's claims that Zacilia or Novosilka over here might actually be under Russian control, and that previously we did have mention of a offensive toward Pervomaiske as well. So from Zacilia. So this, you know, all this information is very, very interesting. However, Russian MoD mappings is rubbish most of the time. It's just a, you know, overall sketch of, you know, what the front line is. It's actually for over time, for around a month, I have been looking at it, and I realized that I can't depend on it to do our mapping. So yeah, so I have deleted most of this. You can see 3rd of August, and before 3rd of August, I've already been, you know, mapping all these things. So it's been a month, and I decided that, you know, we cannot depend on the Russian mapping, the Russian MoD mapping, because it's purely for public consumption. So moving on to the Davydiv front, you can see that shelling continues in all the main Ukrainian positions over here on the bridgehead. However, they did not hit Blahodatne, so that's a bit curious, which might suggest that the Russians might be holding this position. So no idea what's happening. It's mostly shelling. So you know, when last time I always, you know, mention in my reports, I always say it's quite quiet, but it's actually not that quiet because it's actually shelling everywhere. This is what it looks like. So on the Kryvyi Rih direction or region, there is shelling reported at Potomkaine, Zelenosdorsk, and there's Opytne. All these are all known strongholds of the Ukrainian forces, but no ground offensive reported around here. And for those that are interested, the Ukrainians did try to use HIMARS on this region around here, but it was shot down over Kakhovka. So probably the target is still this bridge over here, most likely. Moving on to Zaporizhzhia region and Zaporizhzhia Line. There is shelling reported at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. So according to Ryba, the pro-Russian sources, local sources reported shelling by Ukrainians on the territory of the power plant. TPP power plant. Cannot be thermal, right? No idea what is TPP. So anyway, but unfortunately there is one local resident, a taxi driver, have died. So a bit sad. So but it's war, people die. So moving on to the Zaporizhzhia Line, shellings reported at Orikhiv and Tokmashka, and there's also shelling reported at Dorozhnyanka. So which is kind of weird because it is listed as under Russian control, so that actually created a dispute. So Ukrainian actually claims control over Dorozhnyanka. So let's see. This is very unlikely to be resolved until some major offensive is going to happen around this region. And at the very end of the Zaporizhzhia Line, we also have the same problem with Novosilka, where shelling is reported by the Ukrainians over Novosilka, creating a dispute. And at this very end, at Velika Novosilka, shelling is reported at Velika Novosilka, and the Russians actually launched an attack towards Vremivka from the direction of Makarivka. And it's very funny why they don't say Neshkushny. They have to say Makarivka, which is where I was talking about the point earlier, that they they purposely create some use some very far away positions to indicate a direction, causing some confusion if you are just reading, and you'll be like thinking, where the hell is Makarivka? So fighting reported at Vremivka. So this kind of like double triple fopper down on Ukrainian claims that they have control over Vremivka, which I believe them. So moving on to the Donetsk Front. So at the Donetsk region, there is fighting, let me see, 20th, 18th, 22. So there is fighting reported at Pavlivka. So this is reported by Ryber. They say that there's unconfirmed reports, so this is unconfirmed fighting, that the recon troops of the Russian forces have entered into the village of Pavlivka near Voleda, which is Voleda is around here. So so I'm not sure how they're gonna get all these reports. So that's why they are a source. So there is, however, shelling reported at Pavlivka as well and at Voleda. So the fighting at Zolota Niva is not mentioned. And then so for those that are wondering, just in case, this for the 21st of August, most of this report for the 21st of August come out on the 22nd of August. So which is why I'm covering now. It's just that I was busy in the daytime, so now it's already 23rd in Singapore. Now we are like 1 a.m. in Singapore as per this recording now. So the fighting towards Marinka from Staromykolaiv is not mentioned. There is shouting at Marinka though. So this is very typical. Marinka has been shelled throughout the entire war. Nothing new. And then we come to the Pisky region. Pisky region is one of this concentration of action by the Russian forces, where they put a lot of intensity into this conflict around here. There is reports of fighting towards Pervomaiske by both the Ukraine Defense Ministry and as well as Ryber. So they said that there's assault operation towards Pervomaiske from Donetsk direction. So you see, it's very funny. Why they don't want to say Pisky? So they could have just say Pisky, because Donetsk and Pisky is on the same line. So and then the attack on Nevelske continues in a massive pincer, not massive, like in a pincer movement, where there is shelling happening while the forces from Lozove and the forces from Pisky attack from two different directions. The attack towards Pervomaiske from Lozove is no longer reported. The last report is on the 19th, which is already 3 days. So probably we can start to delete it, should it not be reported anymore tomorrow. And so the Russians are very keen to take Nevelske, and after Nevelske, these locations here will be at risk, and I'm not sure how entrenched these positions are. As you can see, the next pre-war defense line is actually all the way here, so which means that the Russians might not want to push north or westward or northwestward. They might actually, once they take the Nevelske, they will actually swing eastward and encircle Avdiivka. So that's what I think will likely happen. Fighting is reported at Opytne as well, as part of this massive operation in the Pisky region. So, and this is probably, as I just mentioned, part of a bigger operation to surround Avdiivka, which is why they need to take Opytne. Once they take Opytne, then they'll be able to strangle Avdiivka from the southwest side, and then you can have this big swing up the north and cut off the retreat route for the Avdiivka. So, and then there is report of fighting at Krasnohorivka from the Novosilka Druha direction. This is also reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry. I'm really loving the Ukraine Defense Ministry reports, because they give us so much information about all the offensive which the Russians are not giving us. the Russian Ministry of Defense are not giving us. And I can tell you, even Rybar is taking a lot of information from the Ukraine Defense Ministry. I have compared some of the report from Rybar, especially for artillery strikes and some of the offensive. It's quite clear to me that they actually get the information from the Ukraine Defense Ministry as well. So this is also why, you know, some of you guys, I know you are very pro-Russian, but you cannot just ignore, you know, saying, oh, the Ukraine Defense Ministry always lies, so, you know, their reports are not reliable. There might be some truth to that. However, they asked you an official source, so the official, you know, they are a governmental source, they are Ministry of Defense. Same for the Russian Ministry of Defense. So this goes both ways, which is why whatever they say have weight, and which is why, you know, as long as we put in due diligence to try to, you know, understand, is there any, are they being honest, or, you know, are they trying to say something, you know, which they cannot say out loud, or they are omitting something. No, when we start to, you know, cover on a daily basis, and then we get the sense of how they behave, the way how they report, we'll be able to tell, you know, what is the truth. If you're too lazy to do it, just watch this channel, subscribe, and then yeah, I will tell you, because I'm reading all this every day. So there are the report of the fighting towards New York from Novosilka here, south of New York, as well as the attack from Zelensky Balka. It's not reported today. So I want to say, I just want to correct myself. In the last summary, you know, I made the same mistake saying that New York, based on something I read wrongly, or rather of wrong information, that New York was named because for tourism reason. It's not. So the New York was named New York because someone used to live in America, and they went back during the long time ago, more than 100 over years ago, decided to call that place New York. It started off as a very small village, and then the name was changed, I think during the USSR time, and then in 2021, yeah, 2021, it was put onto a request to change the name, and it was voted. This name change was passed, and then they were renamed back to their old original name, New York. Previously, they were named something else, which I forgot the name. So, moving on. The fighting reported at Myos is not reported as well. I think this might be just a recon attack. So it's not something major. So maybe they're just probing. Moving now, we are into the Bakhmut front. So at the Bakhmut front, very interesting information. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported fighting towards Kryvyi. So Kryvyi is here. Kryvyi from the direction of Lozove. Lozove is here, and you can see in this report is, you know, the guy that wrote this report is very try to be very clever. So he purposely chose this much more unknown town, and then which they didn't even talk about in their previous reports. They said that attack coming from this direction towards Pervomaiske, but in this very sentence they actually admitted that they have lost Dacha. So interesting, right? So they have never mentioned about the loss of Dacha. So this is actually a confirmation that they have lost Dacha, and perhaps even Zaitseve in the extent, because you don't really go, the Russians will not go for Pervomaiske, you know, without capturing Zaitseve. So this is actually a tacit admission that they have actually lost these two locations. So hope you find that interesting. And Kodema is another very interesting one. It got attacked from 3 different directions. So you can see that on the 22nd they mentioned so these are all 22nd reports. You see 22nd. These are all from the same Ukrainian report, all from today. That there is a offensive led from Vremivka, and then from Hladosove, and there's another one to Hladosove, blah blah, and then there's another one which is Trizhnev Kodema. Travneve. So we have one attack this direction from Travneve up, then another one from Lozove up, and then we got one from Vremivka down. So Kolyma is attacked in a massive pincer from 3 different directions, and that's definitely, you know, as Zaporizhzhia is controlled by the Russians. The entire area here is definitely all Russian controlled, and then we are attacked from the south, from the north, from the east. So Kolyma is actually very hard pressed, and I think it's not going to hold for much longer, given the look of it. And there is no reports of shelling at Kolyma, which means that the Russian forces are already within this region here, and making artillery shelling not the most viable, you know, solution in this to solve this problem of Kolyma. So moving on to Zaitseve, there is also report of fighting towards Zaitseve from Zaporizhzhia. Shelling do report on this region here. And moving on to Bakhmut city. At the Bakhmut city, we have no reports on Bakhmut. So suddenly it's very quiet for the past 2 days already. However, the little Bakhmut, the Bakhmutske, continues to be attacked from the direction of Pervomaiske, and as well as Soledar. So, but according to Ryba, they did mention that the units of the 6th Cossack Regiment of Luhansk People's Republic are moving deep into Bakhmutske. So it's not Bakhmut, definitely it's Bakhmutske. So they are moving deep into this area. The fighting continues on the outskirts of the city for Soledar. However, I'm not sure where is the outskirt, because we already know that they are inside Soledar in this region. So not sure the outskirt means where. However, Soledar is a rather big, sprawling town. So there is Russian shelling reported in this region. Yakovlivka is not mentioned. Interestingly, Razdolivka was shelled pretty far from the front line. Blahodatne is also shelled, and this also, you know, corroborates the information that Blahodatne is still under Ukrainian control. Because we have been wondering what's happening at Blahodatne. It has not been mentioned for no more than a week or more, and perhaps even 2 weeks. So this shelling report comes as a relief that the Ukrainians still controls it. There is a new offensive towards Vasily from the Sperne direction. So from Sperne towards Vasily. So which means that this entire area here I marked out as definitely Russian control towards Vasily direction. So fighting is ongoing, which means things are not going well for the troops at Vasily here. So read between the lines. So otherwise, the fighting reported over this region, there's no update. Ivano-Darivka region, there's no update. The last report is still based on yesterday's one, from the Berestove direction towards Ivano-Darivka. There is shelling at Vremivka, Makarivka, Sybyanka, Dorozhnyanka. So in case you are not aware, the shelling along this entire river, the settlements along all this river, including Platonivka and Zakine, is pretty common. The Russians continuously shell all this position, but they never seems to want to cross the river. So perhaps they still have a lot of trauma and PTSD coming from the Blahodatne adventure here. So yeah, I'm not expecting any Russian river crossing anytime soon. So that's all from the Bakhmut Sivers front. Moving on to the Izium front. So at the Izium, so this is Izium city. At the Izium front, we have no updates on the Blahodatne situation. But you can see that there is bombardment on Dolina as well as Makarivka. However, it's only bombardment. There is no reported fighting at Makarivka. However, there is fighting reported at Dubrovne over here from the direction of Dovhemke. So this is the second time the Ukrainians have asserted that Dubrovne is under Ukrainian control, and I'm feeling really itchy to just put this as under Ukrainian control. So let's put it under Ukrainian control, shall we? So let's put it as under Ukrainian control. Ukraine retain control over Dubrovnik. So let's take out the date, and we can actually add this line in. So so with this, with the Russian shelling is also reported by the Ukrainian side that the Russians are shelling Dubrovnik. So with this, then we will actually move the border here. So in a very weird situation. So Kakhovka is attacked previously mentioned 2 days ago. No updates. The fighting at Novosilka continues. So this time round they only mention Brezhkivka. So the fight from Brezhkivka direction towards Novosilka. Previously they mentioned two locations, Sulihivka and Brezhkivka, and yesterday I reported this and I criticized that these two locations are pretty near. They might actually be just the same offensive. There's no more updates on Vremivka as well as this Kakhovka one. So probably we'll have to delete it tomorrow. So that's all from the Izium front. Similarly, there is no aircraft being reported getting shot down. I read a comment. Some of you guys said it's because of the HIMARS missile. HIMARS missile is the active home. I forgot what's the full name. So basically, HIMARS missiles actually targets radar radiation. So if you have a radar of the surface to air missile system shining the sky, and then the radiation will actually be detected by the missile, and then the missile can home into the radiation and destroy the radar system or the surface to air missile system. So that's the HIMARS missile. So the Americans are reportedly giving some of these missiles to the Ukrainians, and people, especially the pro-Ukrainian crowds, are very hyped about it. It's like, this is going to change the war. Again, it's not going to change the war. It's just going to create just another thing to be concerned about. For the Russian side, is that okay, now we cannot just on our radar discriminately, or we can just on our radar discriminately and wait for you to fire your missiles, and then the Russian Air Force will just take you out. They will just send the Air Force flying around more often. There's always a way to counter it. So yeah, if the Russians can't, then they'll be in deep shit when they actually fight the NATO forces, because the Americans use a lot of these HIMARS missiles in the first days of war, because in NATO or American style operations, the first thing to do is to take out all the surface to air missiles, all the power stations, all the command centers, and then when you take out all the surface to air missiles systems on the major radars, then you can send in all the non-stealth aircraft and then hammer the hell out of your enemy. So that is the Western way of fighting. So if the Russians have no means of dealing with the HIMARS missiles, then Russians are not a threat to the Western powers. Why do I need to explain this? So shelling is reported over the entire front line of Mykolaiv Front. You can see Mospanove, Pryshap, and this more or less known town of Kryvyi, as well as Varvarivskyy is all getting shelled. Previously, I put this as under Russian control. I just moved the front line to make sure that this is under Ukrainian, because this is actually on the other side of the Zelensky Donetsk River, so it makes sense to be under Ukrainian control. There's no need to indicate this because this was never disputed, or there was never any fighting over there. Moving on to the Kharkiv front, the not so happy front. And a not so happy front, or is a sleepy front actually, is a Biden front. So the fighting reported at Novosilka as well as Udi is no more. So no more fighting over there. There's no fighting reported at Bostrova, all we have is just boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that's all. That's all from the Kharkiv front. So it's just artillery strike. But the good thing about this artillery strike is it helps us, indicates where the front line are, and it helps to see that the front line is pretty close to where we have indicated. Although it's very interesting to see that all these 3 locations are not shelled. So maybe, and so Dmitrivka, Prudianka, all these are all very contested or gray zone areas. So the reason there might be no shelling, in the more frontline towns is also because they are considered gray zone. So gray zone means that no one's actually is there. It's a no man's land. No one dares to be there, because anyone that goes there gets shelled the hell by the other side. So which is why you might see that the shelling is actually a bit deeper into the front line rather than the front line that we have indicated. So, and that's all from the summary of the day of 179, 21st of August. I was thinking whether to put the childish filter on again. I don't want lah. Press the like button. And a lot of crazy stuff is happening now. So I will see if I can report that. Particularly in Iran, there is not Iran, Pakistan, where the government is rumored that they want to arrest Imran Khan, and then the whole of Pakistan is not going to sleep now. Everyone is rushing over to Islamabad. Is that Islamabad? Wherever the Imran Khan is living, and they actually surrounded Imran Khan's residence. A lot of people is over there, so the security forces can do nothing. And Imran Khan say that if he's arrested, he wants the people to do a Sri Lanka style overthrowing of the government. So I will try to see whether I can cover this later. Anyway, this is the summary, and I'll see you in the next update.